Never seen a smile so big on my little old lady's face until I tell her I'm going fishing all weekend. Pack up all of my bacon, I make plans for 7:45, and I swing around, pick up my date for the weekend. Some reason she seems to please when I'm leaving. There's something I'm missing when I'm gone fishing. When I'm gone fishing. When I'm gone fishing.
Yeah, baby.
Yes, sir. Well, good evening, all that have joined us already. I see Richard's online. Good to see you, Jeremy. Yeah, baby. Joe's here. Trisha, all the way down in Windsor. We'll be talking very shortly about one of our fallen, I will say. I tell you, it was news that came up that really took me off guard, and I wasn't expecting it. So we'll be talking about that. But before we do, again, welcome everyone. Thanks so much for taking the time to join us here on Monday. We have a lot to get through today. There's lots going on in CFN land and, of course, elsewhere that we want to discuss and bring you guys up to date. This is the last day of the Winter Fish Fest for 2022. Midnight tonight. You have to submit your fish before midnight tonight. And I know there's some late entries. We've been seeing them come in. In regards to tomorrow's Turdy Tuesdays, I'm not 100% sure. I know Mike is not going to be with us. He's going to be down at the Raptor game. So I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to go live. There won't be really a lot to talk about other than thanks so much for all of your participation and all of your great submissions. It was overwhelming to see all the families together, fishing, having fun, and making memories. Really, really cool. So tonight's theme, as you saw in the post, it's the sad, the bad, and the lucky. And unfortunately, we're going to start off with the sad. For those who don't know, Americo Rizza is no longer with us. He passed yesterday. Really good friend of mine, as well as a lot of folks down in the Windsor area who I'm sure are mourning his loss. Just a true gem of an individual, very, very active in his community. His involvement in the ICHA event is huge. He always put me up, all the years that I went down there. Him and his wife. As I said, I am going to miss him deeply. But I also know that again, you folks that are closer to him down in Windsor, especially our good friend Pat Pagano, our deepest condolences to the family, to you, Pat, and to all friends and family. It is a terrible loss. Unfortunately, it was health reasons that finally was his demise. He'd been sick for a little while, and unfortunately, it got the better of him. And it's sad in the sense that it's sad anyway. But he was in such great health, really, really, for his age, just top shelf health. And anyway, it's a sad day, and we will mourn the loss and pay our respects in a tribute here to Americo. Yeah, gonna miss that guy. I tell you, what a gem, just an absolute gem. So as I said, please pass on your condolences to Pat Pagano, who I know is it's tough for him right now. There is information in regards to his visitation, celebration of life, and of course this funeral. There is something that the family wants to do instead of sending flowers. They want to make a donation. I will share all that information. I'll post that tribute video so that folks know exactly what to do, where to go, and how they can show their respects. Now, that is the sad. Here's the bad. The bad, unfortunately, is I felt horrible. We had a meet and greet on the weekend, and Jim Wilson, who came a fair distance, unfortunately blew a tire on the way there. And a lot of folks came, from far away. Barry and Sally came all the way down from Timmins, and there was a host of others that came a long way as well. But I felt bad for Jim, who blew a tire. It's one of the worst things. I mean, next to a car accident, and knock on wood, that never happens. But when you hear somebody's equipment blow on route to get to an event that you're hosting, it's tough. That's a tough one. And the perseverance that Jim had, managed to source out a place to get a tire and made it there with a smile on his face. Didn't show up in a bad mood. It was, as I said, never met the man. We've done a few edits. I marvel at his fishing ability, but needless to say, it was a pleasure to meet you, as well as many others who I've never met. Scott McKenzie, one, and we'll get to that in a second. But the meet and greet as its own was such a successful event, and truly, it's what our community is all about. It's about getting folks together and fishing. And I can't say enough about our hosts, Jen and Scott, and of course all of their sponsors in the city there around Moira Lake. That community really went to bat for us. Free minnows, the food was endless. Everybody went away with a smile and a full belly. As I said, the fish didn't exactly cooperate, but I think it was Joel who put on quite the clinic with the perch. He caught the most fish, but as I said, the event was spectacular. Big shout out to the Shaw family for putting all the prize packs together. Did a fantastic job. Last minute too. So big shout out to Don and Steve for doing that. And of course, all who came. It means the world to be able to see 30 plus CFNers show up on the ice and have a great day of fishing. But again, big shout out, thank you to Scott and Jen from the Fanatics Outdoor Adventures. You guys are incredible hosts, and we hope to do this again next year. Have a look. This is just a quick snippet of what the weekend looked like. Biggest fish, Scott McKenzie.
Yeah,
What? The big walleye. That big perch you caught. Oh. You did it, man. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All
Very
right.
much, guys.
And last but not least, the smallest fish. Who's willing to come up here and accept this prize? Because you are a true CFNer. Get up here, Curtis. Get up here, Curtis. You were the one moving. Get up here. No. You made the move. I didn't do nothing. You caught the smallest fish. Congratulations, my friend. You are a true CFNer. Yes,
Thank you very much, guys.
Right
I'm very grateful to all my fans. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Shaw family, for putting those prizes together. Yeah, baby. Yeah. So as you saw, great prize packs. There was lots jammed in those bags. And again, thanks to the Shaw family and all of our participants, and of course our winners who took home more than they paid. It was $20 to join the meet and greet, and you, as I said, you got fed well. You had a great time, and you made some great memories. Now, here's the lucky, and I say I'm going to tell you this story with some hesitation because it was not a proud moment, and I'm going to be honest with you, it was probably the most scared I've been in a number of years. So there's a moral to this story, and I'll get to it right after. On the way home, for all those who joined us, you all got to see the CFN Ice Hut. It's very mobile, somewhat light, and it's easily moved around. Packed it up, thanks to Curtis for helping me throw it on the trailer, strapped it down, and I was on my way. The wind started to pick up a little bit as I was starting to get closer to the 401. When I made the merge onto the 401 from the 115/35, I could start to feel the trailer bouncing, and usually that's an indication of something. And anybody who has dragged a lot of loads and tied down a lot of stuff and hold a lot of equipment, you know how important it is to tie your stuff down. And I thought I had mine tied down pretty good. Anyway, I'm driving along the 401. I look in my rearview mirror and I got blacked out windows. So I had to put the windows down and I could see, the piece of plywood that I usually put in the front. I could see the ATV, and there was a truck in the middle lane. And when he changed lanes and came in behind me, I could see his headlights. And right away, it dawned on me. The hut is no longer on the trailer. I repeat, the hut is no longer on the trailer. The panic that ensued just after that realization is something that I think we can laugh about now, but honestly, the heart was pounding because I didn't know where I'd lost it. I never felt it leave the trailer other than the bouncing, which meant that there was less weight on the trailer, was the only indication I had that I had lost the hut. Called my wife, feverish panic. She's like, "Can I help you? Can I come out and give you a hand?" I said, "No, I just got to go back and I got to find where this thing is," expecting it to be in pieces. But what I was really expecting was, of course, a fire truck, an ambulance, and a bunch of OPP when I did eventually find it. And of course, I really thought I'd be telling this story to a judge. So I'm really glad that I can tell this story to you folks because there is an underlying message to it all. I pulled back around, and just at the 412 on the 401, I noticed it's over on its side in the shoulder. And it really honestly could not have come off at a better place on the highway. Had it come off when there was no expansion to the highway and there was traffic directly behind me, it would have been probably a different story. And as I said, I'd probably be telling this to a judge. Anyway, I managed to pull around in front of it, and with the adrenaline running through me, I was able to pull it back up on the trailer. And then, of course, we had our highway patrol, not OPP, but they usually come around when there's a stalled car. They'll put the lights on and just protect you. Well, his bedside manner was anything but perfect. So when I went up to him to thank him for stopping, of course, he said, and I quote, "Would you tie it down with some shoelaces?" So I said, "Dude, thanks so much. Appreciate the kind words. I'm just going to throw this on the trailer, tie it down again, and I'll be on my way." Now, I managed to get home okay, but this was what was concerning to me. And let me ask you this question, because maybe I'm wrong. It's the 401. This hut, as those who know it, who have seen it, who have been in it, it's quite large. It's almost, I would say, like an 8x8, 10x10. And I'm happy to say that Coenders, who makes these huts, make a very durable hut because, as I said, it flew off the trailer at 100 kilometers an hour and landed on its side. And outside of the rivets on the door busting and some road rash, the hut is completely intact. But here's my question. Have our highways become this absurd that event is just normal? Because no one, and I mean no one, came up beside me, gave me the finger, yelled obscenities, honked the horn, flashed their high beams, nothing. I would never have known. I would have drove all the way home had I not felt the bouncing of the trailer without knowing that the hut had come off. And the courteous people on the highway didn't even let me know. So the moral of the story is you can never check your ratchets. You can never check your chains enough. And I wish there was an area just before coming on the highway that I could have pulled over and checked. Because when I did feel that wind pick up, I did slow down. I was doing 110 and I slowed down to 100 just because I could feel, the friction from the wind. And lo and behold, as I said, that is the lucky. So again, moral of the story, you can never check your tie downs enough. And boy, my heart's pounding just talking about it. I honestly thought I was going to be in a lot of trouble. And luckily, there was someone looking down on me. I had probably half a dozen guardian angels on that night. So again, I'm glad I could share the story. We can have a bit of a chuckle, but yeah, that could have ended really badly. Now, I'm going to play this video before we bring in Kyle and Moose are going to talk about the Peterborough tackle swap. But before we do, big shout out to our outdoor flavors from Bait to Go, who provided us a fantastic fish fry on Saturday and are waiting to provide you an equivalent fish fry with their various products. Have a look.
When it comes to Canadian food, we've got your back with flavors like lemon pepper, beer batter, campfire barbecue, lemon pepper dill, garlic butter and chives, and crispy Cajun. We've got a mix for every meal. Whether you're serving East Coast shrimp, West Coast salmon, succulent walleye, chicken wings, or veggies, we've got you covered. Coat your food in outdoor flavors. Available online or at these fine retailers.
Moose, Kyle in the house. How we doing tonight, gents?
Good. How's it going, guys?
What's happening? What's happening?
It's been a while. Hey, I got to do the Ian West hat fix here. How's he? Which way?
The tilt of the brim.
My
right?
beak's a little bent. It will work, though. So,
Yeah.
how you guys doing?
Kyle, fantastic. And I'll tell you, the excitement is drawing near with what is going to be a great event and a much anticipated event. It's the first annual Peterborough Tackle Swap and Fishing Show, long overdue. And when it comes to our fishing community, it's these kind of events that become the benchmark of us gathering together and getting, reacquainted, getting caught up, and various other things. But you're here to tell us a little bit of some of the unexpected stuff that we could experience if we were to go.
For sure. Well, I really appreciate you guys having me on tonight. And I'm excited to be sitting here doing this because we had to have canceled this show a total of 3 dates. So this is going to be the fourth try at this. So, and I hate to use that word, but unfortunately back in 2020, we had to cancel literally 48 hours before the event opened. So it was just, one of those unforeseen things coming, and it was, a lot of unknown, and we were literally, city shut us down and the first lockdown happened and all that stuff. So we're super excited to get this going. Everybody keeps making jokes. Well, it better be good. You've had long enough to plan it, but it's a little bit more complicated than that. Everything's kind of changing and whatnot. But no, we're ready to get this going, Scotty. Like, it's going to be a packed house. I've never had this kind of excitement or buzz around an event that I've organized in the past. I did do the same show in Bowmanville. I took over from Peter Cito, and we had a fantastic event there for 8 years. Peter did a fantastic job, and we've kind of made our changes to it, and it's going to be even a little bit more different feel in Peterborough. But that's still that same small. I don't want to use the word small, but it's going to be basically half tackle swap, and it's going to be half vendors. We got 102 vendors. We have 102 10 by 10 booth spaces filled with various vendors and 62 personal 8-foot tables. So it's going to be full of fishing stuff, and every single thing in that show is fishing related. There's no filler spaces. There's no, somebody selling whatever that, their grandma made in the basement. It is literally fishing stuff the whole way through.
Is there anybody selling straps? Because I might know a lad who needs straps for his trailer.
Yeah, actually, we might be able to arrange that. So I was already gonna give Scotty a set with a bow on them. You beat me to it. So, but I'm happy to hear your story worked out okay, Scotty, because I know that feeling there.
I'm an open book. Everybody knows I'm an open book. I got nothing to hide. And if anything, if it can help somebody not have to go through that, because if that had happened maybe another 10 years down the road, I guarantee you it wouldn't have been just the hut laying on the side of the road. It would have been me having a heart attack, because I haven't been that scared in a very, very long time, and for no other reason than I thought, Jesus, I killed somebody. Like, someone's going to be hurt really bad, and luckily it was a great ending to a horrific story. But needless to say, Moose, we're going to be down at the show as well with the OFC Nation booth. What can we expect from OFC Nation?
Well, we're going to do what we usually do. So there'll be a basket for giveaways. You're going to throw your email address onto a piece of paper. We're going to throw everybody into a hat, a bucket, a whatever, and we're going to pull a name and give away a prize pack. Now, I'm looking at the Peterborough Tackle Swap and Fishing Show Facebook page. And like Kyle was saying, there's over 102 different vendors, over 62 different tables. So guys, if you have some sort of a booth giveaway, a promo, a deal, post it. Post it and use the hashtag so people can find it, so people, know what they're coming into, sort of thing. I'm sure all kinds of people have all kinds of deals happening. Post it. I want to know what's going to be for sale before I get there. So for us, there'll definitely be a booth giveaway. We're going to do a couple of rods and some of our swag. We're also going to have our hoodies and t-shirts available. So t-shirts are going to be 50% off, and hoodies are going to be 50% off. We are blowing it out.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we're not. Everybody knows what to expect. Obviously, we'll have tons of stickers for everyone. We're going to hand those out. But Kyle, 2 years in the making, canceled 3 times. This is the 4th go at it. How do you feel about it? Because I know you're pretty excited about it all.
So I'm like excited, extremely nervous that like something goes wrong and the surprise lockdown happens again.
Mm-hmm.
And also like super confident that it's going to be amazing. It's like mixed feelings. Like I haven't been sleeping much. I'm not going to lie. I still got a day job and I've been doing this at night, and, just a lot of planning. There's a lot of like little things that go in to make this one big day. And when we want to do a 1-day show, like everything has to go perfect. Like there's no like, hey, we can fix that for day 2, or we can get this. Like everything has to go through. It's also our first time in a new venue, and, venues all got different rules now and different layouts, a new floor plan and stuff like that. So to say I wasn't nervous, Moose, I'd be lying. I'm kind of freaking out, but I also like the amount of support we've received from how many people have inquired about, being a vendor. The communication from the vendors this year, like I've never received so many phone calls like, hey, what do you think about this? I'm bringing this, what's going on? And just the variety of it. Like we got so many like cool people there. Like everybody that's going to be in that building is going to be a cool cat man to talk to. Cause like we're going to have people doing like product demos in their booths. We got some of like the biggest tournament series in there. We got CSFL, we got the Ontario Kayak Bass Trail guys for the kayak. We got Shootout Fishing League, we got Kawartha, you name it. We got Muskies Canada, Kawartha chapter coming as well. Like, so we got basically everything from product, custom lure makers to the manufacturers like Shimano, Daiwa, St. Croix, Garmin, and some of the biggest bait companies like Exxon or American Bait Works coming in, as well as many, many more. So we're just really excited to have like such a variety this year. And basically, like, as I'm trying to tell people, like, yes, it's a show full of deals. That's what this show's been known for. Like, hey, bring some cash. You're going to walk out with something for sure. There's amazing deals in the swap side of the show. Like some of these guys have shown me some pictures of what they're bringing. Like there is full on like tackle stores coming in, setting up on some of those tables, and then you got other guys that are, working with some of our top retailers. So we got, some big names in fishing. JB's Fishing Depot's coming for the first time ever. Peterborough Pro Tackle, huge display, like 60 feet basically of product that they're bringing in. Name a few. We got Mac Attack Outdoors, East Hill Outdoors, and I know I'm missing some, so I apologize, but we got a huge variety of different people coming to this event. So whether you want to buy something, you want to learn something, you want to talk to people like your guys self in the OFC Nation booth, it's going to have something for everybody.
100%.
I'll say this, and Barry said it. He's taking the lead on this, and from one cat to another, we really appreciate you doing this, putting this on, because really, as I said, when it comes to our community and the industry as a whole, we need these kind of events in order to do networking, just catch up with people, because it's a meeting place, and
for sure.
if for folks like you spearheading stuff like this, we would have to do all our events ourselves. So for myself, and I'm sure Moose feels the same way, thanks so much for all your hard work, my friend.
No, I appreciate it. And it's like you said, Scotty, it's a chance to network. And I think I told this to Moose a few weeks ago when we talked, and I said something similar to Sean McCall. Look, I just want to get the fishing community together right now. This isn't about like how successful can we make this for us, or I want everybody to have a successful show. But I want people to come with a smile on their face, like, hey, it's really good to see you, man. It's been a while. Like, I want that, I want to get back to the normal, what we did. Like, the other fishing show is because it's the people that make up this industry. And that's going to be no different at this show. It's a fantastic community. It's a fantastic industry. And the people that support it that are going to be there shopping are even better. And we got, like Jim McLaughlin, for example, he's coming down. He's always been like super good to this event. He's such a great guy. I know he's coming on here next. And, he posted too, like, what are the show hours? And I just want to kind of comment on that because he brings up a good point. The show is fast and furious. So we open it up at 10. The reason is we want to give the vendors a little bit longer to, get some stuff set up in the morning, as well as, it's Sunday. Let people sleep in, grab a coffee, whatever. However, if you want to get ahead of the game, do not sleep in, get in line. There is a lineup at this show every year. There will probably be a huge lineup at this show this year. And we're going to open those doors at 10, and it's going to spread like wildfire in there, and it's going to be packed. So I'm super excited about it. We're doing different things we're about 3 weeks out from the show, and we got a whole marketing campaign coming these next few weeks, especially the 2 weeks leading up to the show, about stuff that's going to be there, different things like that. And like, there's some really cool stuff. Like, we got Peterborough battery coming. Everybody needs to deal on, deep cycle batteries for their boat. So we'll post up some of the stuff that they're doing. It's just different things. Like I said, it's whether you're a kid that's looking to get into some use tackle to get you on the river, or somebody looking at a Geiger Tech mount for your brand new bass boat, it's there. Every single thing is covered. Every species is covered. Muskie pike, walleye, salmon, bass, we wouldn't miss it, trout, you name it. It's all going to be there.
Very cool.
Moose, what are you looking forward to most?
Getting back to the norm, getting back to chatting with people, just kind of getting a better understanding of where people are at in this crazy world of ours. Reason be, Kyle, I'm going to put this out there because I know people have asked me, are we going to have to wear masks? Do I need to wear a mask? This whole, on the 1st, everybody's doing away with masks, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes, no.
For sure. So and that's something like I want to address the room. And to be honest with you, we're going to follow any provincial guidelines that are put in place either by the province or the venue. That is completely out of my control. It doesn't matter which way I feel about it, which way you feel about it. If those are the rules, those are the rules. If there is no rule for a proof of vaccine passport, we will not need to ask for that. If mask mandates are in place, we will wear a mask. We always encourage people to do what makes them feel safe. It might not be time for everybody to come out in public, and we totally respect that. But I know there's a lot of people that are roaring to go. We're going to do everything we can to run this show as safely as possible. There'll be sanitizer stations. There'll be access to, washrooms and everything like that. We understand it. At the same time, though, no matter what the risk is, we felt like, with all the other events happening and sports events and hockey games and stuff like that, we're good to go. Like, we want to do this. We want to do it for the community. And as I said, we'll do it as safe as possible. And you know what? We really hope we get people's support, even if they don't feel safe to come. It's, we really hope we get their support, whether it's at home or checking out the Facebook page or something like that. We totally respect everybody's decision. And at the same time, I'll use an example. If a mask mandate is still in by the province, we will all be wearing masks. And I want to keep that. And we will not be taking any problems from anybody. You'll just be nicely asked to leave if there's an issue, whether it's a shopper or a vendor or anything. We want to have a safe, fun, and drama-free show.
Yeah. Awesome. And the reason why I brought that up, because a number of people asked me about it, and I just said, listen, man, those rules aren't implemented by the organizer. They're implemented by the province. And unfortunately, right now, we just got to follow those rules. So to even speed up the process in the morning, if that's the case, just have it ready on your phone so you're not having to search through it, because there is going to be a long lineup. Everybody's going to want to get inside. Have it ready.
100%. I want to say this too, and I want to go on record saying it. These rules are changing every single day. They will probably change again in the next 3 weeks. So maybe it's none of this tomorrow, but 2 days before the show, that rule changes. Like, as you said, Moose, we are not in control of this. There's many variables, many things we need to work with the venue. Believe it or not, it's harder than you think to find a venue that wants to run a fishing show. There's different liabilities to it and stuff. There's tackle everywhere. It's different. So like, we need to do and at the end of the day, if you have something to prove, it doesn't matter what your opinion is on it, on mine. I'm not saying I agree with it or don't agree with it. We're going to have a drama-free show and just everybody have a good time.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, here's the best part is Kyle's going to be joining us at least next week, I'm sure, and possibly we'll leave it open for you and Moose to join us to talk more about it, leading up to all of the promotional stuff that is going to be hitting Facebook and other social media platforms. We'd love to be able to share it here, Kyle. But
Awesome.
most of all, we'd love to see you and have you back. Of course, that big sexy up there as well. Moose, you're more than welcome to join us again. But thanks so much for joining us tonight to give us an inkling. And again, it is the first annual Peterborough Tackle Swap and Fishing Show. It's Sunday, March 20th, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. It's at the Moreau Building at 151 Lansdowne Street West in Peterborough. Admission is $10 cash. Kids under 12 are free.
And that $10 also gets you a free raffle into a brand new Garmin Fish Finder. So it's like you bought a raffle ticket and you got into the show thanks to our good friends at Garmin. So like I said, guys, I really appreciate the support. I won't take up much of your time, but love to be back here. I'm actually gone next week, Scotty, but I think Moose might be lining up a little bit of a surprise visitor for you guys to take my place, hopefully. But I will definitely be back the week after. And I will be prepared with deals, info, sales, stuff to get you guys pumped up for that one. So I appreciate it big time.
Right
awesome,
on.
buddy. Thank you very much. And if you guys want to find more info, just head over to the Peterborough Tackle Swap page on Facebook, hit the like button and follow and all that, because they do update on the regular. Even the vendors list is there. So if you want to know who's there and what's happening, head over there. They got lots of info over there.
Thanks, guys. I really appreciate this.
Right on. Thanks so much for joining us tonight, guys. And Jim McLaughlin is up next from a word from our sponsor. Jimbo sliced it, everything nice.
What's going on,
buddy? Barry he's on the ball tonight. Happy anniversary to you and Tammy.
Thank
39 years, you crazy kids.
Yeah, she's put up with me for that.
Well, I tell you, it's interesting that we just before we went to live, the two best things came into your life 39 years ago. Tammy being one, and Shimano second. Right on, baby.
I should have her name on my back across my shoulders. It's really funny because I don't know whether I've ever told you this before, but I had a girlfriend for a couple of years, and we were on and off, and we didn't fight. We just, we were buddies and whatever. And this when I had the Tackle Shack, the fishing store. She came over to the store on Friday night after work and said to me, we were talking and whatever, and I don't know what got into me, but we went and sat in the office, and I told her I just didn't want to be with her anymore. I didn't want to do anything. Her parents hated me because I was going to be a fisherman. Worked out okay. That's all I'm saying. But anyways, I did that, and I phoned a buddy of mine, John. His nickname was Slippery, and I phoned him, and he says to me, what's happening? So I told him, and he said, oh, well, you know what it is. He says, I'll pick you up in an hour. You close at 9, we'll go for a beer. I said, sure. So we went to this little place on Bank Street in Ottawa called Jimmy's, and we're sitting there, and about 20 minutes after we got there, these two girls walk in the door. And I look over at him, and I look at them, and I look at him, and I go, whoa. See the one in the short green skirt? He goes, yeah. I said, I'm going to marry her. And he said, you mean just tonight? And I said, no, I'm going to marry her. And he said, well, I could introduce you. I said, really? You know her? He said, no, I don't know her. I've never seen her. But he said, she's with my girlfriend. So she was buddies with this girl. We came over and we hung out for a while. And we were together every night that week. And on Saturday afternoon, we were in Bayshore Shopping Center. And of course, when a woman goes by a jewelry store, you have to go in. So we went into Mappin's jewelry store, and she's looking at all this stuff and trying stuff on and trying rings on and everything. She's going through it all, eh? And the guy looks at her and says to her, oh, are you guys looking for an engagement or a wedding ring?
No.
Like that, eh? Okay. And she looks at me, and I look back at her, and she's trying this ring. She says, oh my God, is this ever beautiful? And I looked at her and I said, do you want it? And she said, what do you mean? I said, well, will you marry me? It's a week after I met her.
Come on.
39 years later.
What
she had just moved back to Ottawa from a horrible divorce.
Wow.
So it's, you know, sometimes things are meant to be, eh? They're just meant to be.
Yeah, 100%, Jim.
And she had a horrible divorce. Yeah.
But, you know, 39 years, she's been an integral part of Just Fishing, putting the magazine together, and has, you know, let's face it, looked after our beloved Jim McLaughlin very, very well. And we wish her comfortable times going forward.
She's a blessing. I mean, she's, you know, I'm not that bad either, right? I'm easy to get along with. I really am when it all comes down to it. But it's an experience being around me, especially when I was younger. Because, you know, like things like well, let's think about that for a day.
Yeah, 100%.
Hey, guys, look at me. No.
Jim, you've got a bunch of things.
Those things.
You got a bunch of things that you want to share with us tonight, and I'm gonna let you have at her right now, right here.
Yeah, I just wanted to go over some of the stuff. If anybody's looking, you know, at this time of the year, maybe you've been doing some ice fishing. Good time to buy stuff is at the end of the season. Quite often, stuff goes on sale, and I just wanted to go over a couple of the things that from Shimano that I've only got to use a couple of these things very briefly. Like, I mean, this mobility thing with my legs, as I told you, I'm going to see they're sending me to a doctor of physiatry, which deals with extreme mobility issues and rehab, and from things that you don't know why. They are totally puzzled. They can't figure out why I'm having all this trouble walking. You know, I can deadlift 350 pounds. I can squat. Now, you know, I buggered my knee up a couple of years ago, but that's not the problem. This problem has been coming on. So they hopefully they can get to the bottom of it. And I know they're not going to give me a pill, but you know, I'll go to the gym and I'll fix it. So it's I have no problem doing that. One cool thing I love that they did with the new Convergent ice rod is they put a hook keeper on it. Nice. You can see it there. That's something that I love. Now there's 9 models of this particular one. They come 28 to 42 inches. The vast majority have cork handles. They screw on from the back, and they have Zinconia guides, which are really cool. They're really, really good guides. They don't ice up as much. They're really good that way. And not my personal favorite handle. I love the rods, but the handle, I'm more of a tape type guy, which I'll go over in a second. I'm more of a tape type guy, but that's, you know, one of the models. And of course, the Sienna Reel Man-O-Man, #1 choice for ice fishing, very inexpensive, got all the features that you need. And, you know, once again, it's something that you can use in the spring for panfish. And these are 1,000 size reels. I do have some 500s on other lighter rods, but I really like this stuff. All the stuff that I have out in the garage that I have been using, most of it is this, but just an older model. So it's some stuff that you really need to look at. Now, this one is the Sedona, and it's it's just a dream rod. See, it's got the cork handle, so you have to tape the reel on. That's something to me, because when you're holding the rod, I like to be able to judge where the reel sits on the seat. And people say they say, oh, you have to balance it, and they're holding their finger like this and they're doing that. So they move the reel up and down till it balances. Then you put the line on and you hang a lure off the end, so the balance is all changed anyway. And
now, Jim, when it comes to holding the rod, when you're out hard water fishing,
yeah,
do you hold it traditionally?
Never,
or do you hold it like just
like that? That would be the way I would hold the rod.
What are the benefits of holding a rod like that? For
your
fishing?
wrist, just the way it works. If you're trying to hold it like this, it doesn't work. It just really doesn't work. It's fatiguing. Plus, a lot of times now we're fishing in shelters. So if you hold the rod like standard and you give it a heave ho, you're hitting the shelter, you're hitting the bars, because they are pretty low. Because the seats in a fish trap or something like that are quite high actually, or a lot of the seats that we sit on. Where when it's like this, it's just a quicker motion. You don't go up as high. You don't have that tendency to lift over your head, and you don't really need to. That's once again we come back to it. A lot of times they're using braid to a fluorocarbon leader now. I mean, I'm using like 5-pound ice tech.
Yep.
And to that put a fluorocarbon leader on. And people don't realize how strong 5-pound braid is. If anybody wants to find out, go get a box of Band-Aids, get some 5-pound test braid, wrap it around your hands and try and break it.
Okay, don't do that. Don't do that.
Don't do that. Now another thing I like now, if you don't like tape, it comes with rings. You can put the rings on, but the reel can move around. That's why I like it like that. Yeah. Comes with a really nice tip that you can really see. Now, this particular one's a panfish one. It's a medium light. So I just like, What does Ben mean here? Taper and adjustable.
Well, basically what you just said. So you prefer to have it taped, as opposed to adjustable.
Yeah, and then the other ones, which we have a lot. Oh, geez, I left it over there. Anyways, I'll just talk. Is the Sienna, and it has 9 models, but it's from 24 to 40 inches. Has an EVA foam grip. So, I left them in the garage. I went out to the garage and put them in the garage. I had a half of them. I've got about 10 of them sitting here. Wanted to be sure I have the right ones.
I sometimes see, Jim, when folks when they're holding it like you do, sometimes they'll loop the line around their middle finger. Do you do that ever?
No.
Yeah.
You mean loop it just to hold it?
Just to hold it, and for no other reason than it's a little bit more sensitive. Do you find you ever do that?
No, I don't really think I need that, because in conjunction with electronics, sensitivity in a rod to ice fish is not the same if you've got electronics, because you're just glued to it. You could tell when there's a fish there. You're sort of heightened on it. Yeah. It's a completely different thing. But once again, these like the different ones have different methods of putting the reels on. I know a lot of people are more traditional, but Scotty, when it comes back to ice fishing tackle and that, it's really changed. You see people out there now, and they go ice fishing and they've got a bucket, and around the outside of the bucket, they've got 10 rods and reels.
Yeah.
They've got 5 outside and 5 inside or something, and they're all ready to go. They've got different little jigs, all kinds of stuff like that, and it just really, really, it's totally changed. Ice fishing isn't what it used to be. You've heard me say this 100 times. This isn't half a dozen guys in a hut with a case of beer on one hole. You know what I mean? Like, it's not that type of thing.
Well, we talked about that, and I'll be honest. I paid homage to our forefathers that basically introduced us to ice fishing back in the day, all of us, and what they would have to endure in order to enjoy a day of fishing on the ice. And I myself, I like to be comfortable, especially as I'm getting older. Working outside for 30 plus years has done me in when it comes to cold weather. And I like to be comfortable, because really fishing is fishing. And if you're comfortable, it's just as enjoyable as open water fishing. But
and when you're sitting in something like a fish trap or some kind of a shelter, you're not cold, your jacket's open, you fish way more efficiently, because you're not sitting there trying to warm your hands and fishing. Your hands are frozen, your hole's freezing, there's a half a pound of ice hanging on the line. And I see we used to call it the bucket brigade. I mean, guys sitting on a 5-gallon pail freezing to death for a couple hours. They drill one hole because they're so damn cold that they don't want to move. And then they just get up and leave. I know guys on the weekend here that went out and fished for bluegills at some really good little bluegill lakes near here on the weekend. And they were on the ice at light, 7:30 in the morning. They were out there, and they were out there till 10 o'clock at night. Well, when we were younger and you sat on a bucket, you didn't stay outside for 15 hours. You'd be dead. They'd find you frozen on the bucket. They'd load you. You'd be, they'll bring you back to shore. It's
so true.
It's one of those things. But no, having this stuff for stuff like, I mean, the way Shimano has come into the ice fishing world, it's really incredible. And when you look at the Loomis IMX ice rods, man, those things are special. If you want to treat yourself and you think you're into ice fishing and whatever, especially if you fish for panfish or, it's just get yourself just go have a look at them. I saw a guy in Gagnon's about 10 days ago when I was out, and I saw him looking at the Loomis rods, and I stopped and I said to him, I bet you buy that. and he looks at me and he goes, oh my God, my wife would kill me. And I said to him, what kind of rods at home? He goes, Big Jim, I have some Shimano rods at home. I have some X Prides and whatever. And I said, well, they're not exactly the least expensive rods on the list, And I said, there's nothing wrong with having a good ice fisher. So I was talking to Justin the day after, and the guy bought a rod. He bought one of the Loomis ones. And I tried to get his name and find him on Facebook, but I couldn't. But he was just in awe. He could not believe how light they were.
Yeah.
And it's I've lent a couple of them. I've got about half a dozen of them, and I lent a couple to a buddy of mine who went down to fish at Quinny, went down to ice fish. Catch this. Here's something else now that we didn't used to do. Imagine going ice fishing for a week. He went ice fishing for 5 days.
Yeah, I can imagine.
He went ice fishing he left on Monday morning. He drove from Ottawa to Quinny. They had a little place to stay that they rented along the shore. They got their skidoos out, everything. By 2 o'clock or so, they were fishing. They had this cabin warmed up, all their stuff in. They were ready to go. And he fished out there. He said, we probably fished into 5 days, probably 70, 75 hours.
Wow.
And he came back to me and he said to me, where do I buy these rods? And I said to him, you're going to get both? And he said, no, we need 3 of each. Because there was guys with him. He had let them fish with them, and they had all caught. One of the guys got a 13-pounder on one of the rods, and he said, it's the experience. And that's why you talk about these high-end rods like the NRX and the stuff like that. You look at it, you can't tell standing in a store. It's when you go out and you start fishing with it and you use it, it's a whole different world. It's a whole different world. And especially
really, who better to get advice on what to buy than someone like yourself who has used all of Shimano's products? And if you're
I mean, still, I don't know the exact retail on these, but I mean, they're not expensive rods. They're not expensive rods. I would think they're probably in the neighborhood of $55 or something like that. And for what we do with rods and reels and the cost of stuff now, and what anglers are prepared to pay. And prepared to pay without being forced. It's not like someone's, twisting their arm up their back.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. Hey, speaking of twisting your arm up your back, so my desk is just here that I have my laptop. Well, you've been back here. Mm-hmm. And I have the table behind me. I don't know whether you can see on the table here. There is where am I going? See this light?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's where I tie. It's over top of where I tie Jake. So I'm sitting here. I'm over at my desk, and I come back, and I hit the piece of cardboard that sits here for the tools to sit on. It's a heavy-duty piece. You can't even bend it, but it's cardboard. The light is falling. And when you see goalies catch a puck behind them?
Yep. I
spin in the chair this way, and I catch it with my arm behind me.
Wow.
So I'm feeling pretty good tonight.
Did trumpets play? I bet you the trumpets played. Did confetti start falling from the ceiling? Jim, I promised Shane Richard an answer to this question, and I'll invite everybody's on here. I mean, Ed's here. There's a lot of very prominent anglers with us. Mike Howard. you're marking fish, okay? Whether you've got a flash or whether you got an underwater camera, you're marking fish. You're doing your best to draw them in. They are looking at your bait, but they're not committing. Is there anything you can advise our beloved Shane Richard on how he can get fish to commit to his bait?
Well, usually by not stopping doing what you were doing, because that's what brought them in. And I was taught that on the ice by Dave Gens as a basic rule of thumb. I like to take it away from them. A lot of times I'll drop it down below them. Fish don't like things going below them because they can't see below themselves. And I don't know whether they're worried about it or whether they just can't see it. And the vast majority of fish do feed upwards because their eyes are on the side of their heads looking up. So it's more important that way. Quite often, if you coax a fish up, and you got to remember, I see people and they come in and they pick up a rod that's got a lure on the end, and they take it and they go like this and they watch the lure bounce in the air. And the lure's flailing all over the place like this. But if you watch that, if you have a camera and you watch your lure in the water, it's doing this. It's not doing this like you're jiggling it because it has to move in the water. It has to move the water for it to move, and it's exactly different. But I think as a basic rule of thumb, when I'm asked that question, what I tell people is, that I fish a lot with maggots. I got that from Gens. I learned that I don't care what you're fishing for. I don't care what you're fishing for. Change the maggots. The introduction, as Gens always used to say, there's nothing beats fresh meat. And that was one of his slogans in the seminars. But you hear me talk to people all the time about that, about not jigging. I see guys out. I watch guys ice fishing here. I drive by. I see them on the edge of the St. Lawrence. They're sitting out there. It's a beautiful day, and I see their arm. I'm 100 yards away from them, and I see their arm going up and down. The fish are all going to have, one of those collars around their necks on Monday morning from trying to watch the lures go up and down or catch one. It's just keep it subtle, keep it slow. If what you're doing isn't working, though, do something different. Try changing lures. Like I told you, the guy with the 10 rods in the bucket, this is what it is now. Put something else down there. I have been a small bait guy all my life, and I got that from Gens. It's another thing. When you get taught to ice fish by Dave Gens, ice fishing is a lot easier. It's a lot easier. It really is. I'm blessed to have that and all the time that I was out there. But some of the biggest fish that I've caught, walleyes and stuff like that, I've caught on little weenie spoons with maggots, stuff like that down in Quinte. I caught a couple of big ones in the Ottawa River once, up by Armprior. And I was watching them come to like a mid-sized jigging wrap, something about 2.5 inches long, 2.25, I think they are. And they would come and look, but they wouldn't bite. I put on fresh stuff. I swear at times you could feel them breathing on the lure. You know what I mean? They were so close to it. It's just they're right there. You're looking on a flasher, and it would be the same on live scope or anything. You can't tell if they're touching because they're so close together. It looks like it's part of them. And I would change to something very small and immediately catch them. And I mean immediately. Yeah. Within 10 seconds of it being back down there, boom, you'd get a bite. And I'm also a light line guy, as I mentioned, if I'm going to go out down to Quinte or something, I'm probably going to put on 15-pound braid. But 15-pound braid now is it's like 4-pound mono. The diameter is so thin. But once again, if you want to see how strong it is, get the Band-Aids and go try, because you're going to need them, because it's not going to break.
Jim, thanks so much for that, and all of you who posted in the comments what your techniques are. This is what we want to do more of, is tips, tricks, and techniques. Little things like Jeanette is asking, do you just use maggots on a hook, like a jig, or would you put the maggots on your treble, on your jigging wrap? Absolutely.
Oh yeah, on anything. I mean, if I was out there and using, say I was going to use the TN, the rattle bait, put a maggot on each hook. And if you put on the belly, if you were to put one of those little VMC hooks with the blade on it, put a maggot on each hook, because the maggots are so small that they don't bother anything. or I would have them on little weenie jig heads. Oh yeah, I do have some here. I mean, it can be anything, any little weenie teeny thing. Here's one that I was using, and I had actually made it smaller the day I was out by cutting it's a little teeny fuzzy grub from Lindy. So you can see how small it is.
Yep.
It's so teeny, but see, I cut the fur off the tail, and I was putting maggots on it. I threw it in the box. I mean, it's just, a lot of little things like that, like just teeny little tidbits of stuff like this, any kinds of little things there. And the stuff that JB's making, I've only got to use it in open water. I just can't wait to get a chance to apply it, because I love things with all those little legs. Yeah. That just drives me nuts. I don't know. Hang on.
We got Lawrence coming up next. We are going to be talking about Invasive Species Month and something that's really cool that's going on the Lake of the Woods. So stick around.
These little guys.
Yeah, creature baits.
These little guys that Jamie makes here, the mayflies. Those things just crank me, because there's all, even when I bass fish, I like things with lots of flaps and little pieces, moving. So it's not just a straight steak. But then again, you go and you Senko fish. There's nothing. There's just one thing. There's nothing to it. So it's just, whatever catches you. But, plastic, just one or two maggots. I've seen Dave Gans load up a jig and wrap with literally, he would call the shish kebab. He wouldn't hook them in one end. He'd hook about 6 over the back, like a shish kebab in the middle, and over the front hook too, and just have it loaded. And it hardly affects the action of the lure. Where if you hang a piece of meat on it, like a minnow, the minnow can get in the way. The odd time you miss a fish, ice fishing, you set the hook, you just don't get it. A lot of times that's the minnow getting in the way, and you don't get the hook into it. It'll come back jammed on the hook itself or something. So. Yeah, it's try lots of different stuff. I saw Ed mentioned earlier there about banging the lure on the bottom. I'm not a bottom fisherman, but when I get to a spot, if I'm in less than 20 feet of water, one of the first things I'll often do is load on the biggest, heaviest chicken wrap I have. I think it's a number 9. I'll drop it to the bottom and just bang that bottom like 5 or 10 times, and I'll fish it for about a minute, just in case there's something really big around, like a pike or something wants to come and eat it. And if not, by the time you get a little panfish jig down, here come the panfish within a couple of minutes. They come to that commotion. They come to the noise. So it's, fish have ears too. Like I always say, you can't see them, but they work. Anyway, you're trying to get rid of me, I know.
No, I'm not trying to get rid of you, but Jim, this is exactly what our community is asking for. And I'll tell you, I hope there's some left, because you've given us a whack of it. But what I want to do is I've got Tammy on the other line here, and she's like, hey, this is my anniversary. Enough with the big guy. It's my turn. So I'm going to let you get back to celebrating. You take care, my friend. Thanks so much for all your time, and we really appreciate all your knowledge.
Be safe out there, kiddies.
Right on, dude. You take care of yourself.
You got.
And we have Invasive Species Month, and Lawrence wanted me to play this video prior to him coming on, so have a look.
Anglers across Canada are reporting increasing numbers of invasive species. Aquarium pets released into the wild are impacting entire ecosystems. Help prevent the spread of invasive species. Rehome unwanted aquarium pets or return them to the store. As a last resort, consult with experts on how to humanely euthanize aquarium fish. Remember, don't let it loose. To learn more, visit the Invasive Species Center. For more about fishing sustainably, visit Bluefish Canada.
Now, that's a great video, Lawrence.
Thanks,
Very
buddy.
well. Yeah, and a great message, because let's face it, we talked about it briefly last week, but there are areas, I can speak of one, Hamilton Harbor, that has a growing population of goldfish. But let's face it, turtles, snakes, and everything else that folks just decide to discard become a real issue when it comes to our native fish.
Oh yeah, like every native species of turtle in Ontario is at risk, and yet we bring in these red-eared turtles from other countries, and then people let them go and they're taken over, right? And it's like rusty crawfish, and and goldfish. And goldfish, they're across Canada. Every province in Canada has a problem with goldfish now.
Wow. Well, and what do we do? Like, obviously the mistakes have been made. We're trying to send the message out so it doesn't get any worse, but how do you eradicate all these goldfish? Bass certainly can't eat them all.
Oh yeah, no, exactly. And these goldfish live in water that's not normally inhabited by many other fish, but they take over then, right? They make their domain larger and larger by making it murkier and less weeds and just disturbing all that vital inshore water where the nursery that other fish count on. It's now dominated by goldfish, and these goldfish chomp down on the minnows of our sport fish, so they're preying on them. I mean, goldfish get up to the size of a football now, right, in the wild.
Unreal. So there's some questions that are coming up here, and Adela has mentioned that our good friend Bill White, 2 tilapia last year he netted, which was staggering to see in native waters. But if you do, like Jeanette is asking, if we happen to catch an invasive species, what do we do with it?
Don't let it go. Euthanize it properly. Give it a ponk on its head to stun it. You don't have to kill the fish with a hit to the head. You stun it and then you bleed it out, right, with a cut to the gill. So you stun the fish first, then you bleed it, and then keep it. If you bait the head in on a these fish, it's not going to do any good for the researchers. You want to bring that fish in and report it, put it in the freezer. There's a good chance, a scientist will want to come and collect it and look at it, and do studies. How old is it? Is it native? Was it born here? Was it spawning itself? They want to check all these things. Or it was just one of these fish that was let go and grew up, never really managed to reproduce. And now it's dead. So this is all the kind of information they're wanting to find out. And we can, look, we love fish. A lot of us, have aquariums of our own, and we talk to people who have aquariums. They talk to us, and we need to educate them about what it is they're doing. I mean, they look at us quite often as the bad guys, right? We're out there fishing. No, we're the conservationists. They're the bad guys flushing their goldfish down the toilet or letting their turtles go in the little ponds or the drainage basins and things like that. We need to educate them about what their actions are doing to the natural world.
Now, when you say report it, and this is a good question because it sometimes is an oversight, but do you report it to the MNR? Do you call the tips line? How do you go about reporting it?
Every province has sort of an organization. Like in Ontario, it's the Ontario Federation of Anglers and Hunters. They have an invasive species reporting line. Every province is funded to do this kind of information gathering. So it's not the government itself, but it's government paying these organizations to do this kind of work, the awareness raising and the information gathering. And then, there's researchers, who are getting specific money to look into, what's going on in specific bodies of water. So you never know who, and it's always good just to Google it. Just Google it in your province and reporting invasive species, and you'll get some good hits and figure it out soon enough. There's also an app you can get on your phone, and it'll put in, and there's a link there at Invasive Species Center. If you go to their website, Invasive Species Center, spelled the Canadian way with a TRE at the end of the center, they have a link to an app where you can then put in that information with a picture, and you can get actually responses from the scientists telling you exactly what it is you got there. So if you don't even know what it is, you can take a picture, send it in with the geographic location, the GPS location. It's all automatically put in there, the time of day and so forth. And you'll get some response from the scientists saying, hey, bring that fish in. We need to see that, or, don't let it go. Or it's a native fish. You just never caught one before.
Now, and that's so true. We know how the zebra mussels got here. We certainly know how the gobies got here. But there's fish such as the rudd that have shown up and are starting to populate in good numbers, especially along the St. Lawrence system and Great Lakes. Were they introduced from the ballast as well?
Good. There's a good chance. They come in through the aquarium industry. ponds, right? People put in these ponds in their yards and they bring in different fish. And, unfortunately, our laws are that unless a fish is considered an invasive species, a destructive element, and it's listed as an invasive species, people can import these fish live from all over the world and use them in their aquariums, use them in their ponds. So there's that, right? So, you can just go into your local aquarium shop and buy these fish and known to be, problematic to the environment. You can buy them for your ponds. Then there's the other side of things. There's various cultures that like to buy live fish for ceremonial purposes, for feasting and so on and so forth. Some of them even let them go for, at the end of the ceremony. So there's some educating there that has to happen as well in terms of the live markets. And there's laws about that as well, but no one's asking you to become the police on this, just to sort of educate people and talk to people about, the importance of keeping our local waters for the local fish, right? The native fish.
Yeah, no, 100%. And
Yeah.
Ed is asking, and I don't know the answer to this, but tench is another mysterious species of fish that has shown up. Is it becoming a problem, or are their numbers being corralled?
They've caught a few in the St. Lawrence River. Is it a problem yet? Who knows? This is a fish that people fish for in the UK, right? It's a kind of sport fish, but look, in the UK, they don't have a lot of variety of fish, freshwater fish to fish for, carp, tench, a few other things like that. So, not a ton of opportunities like we have here. But people move these fish around, whether it's for aquariums or pets or food, or they're just in a ship, like the eggs, right? Could just be the actual eggs. That's why when we leave a boat launch, when we leave with our waders, our fishing gear, whenever we step into the water with our boots, our trailers, our kayaks, we get water and we get weeds. Those weeds could have eggs on them. Okay, we all don't want to talk about whether birds eat, have fish eggs stuck to their legs and land in another lake, and those eggs come off onto a plant and there's fish born in that pond all of a sudden. Who knows, right? I'm not saying that doesn't happen. I think that happens for a lot of things like frogs and crayfish and stuff like that. But it's more the case that we're moving around a lot, right? With our trailers, our boats, our kayaks, our paddle boards, our waders, our boots, all of that stuff. We're in and out. So when you get out of the water, this is the time where you want to do it. You want to wash your gear right there. You want to make sure you pull all the weeds off your net, your boots, your trailer. You want to pull the plugs on your live well and your bilge. You empty out your kayak. You want to do it all there because this is stuff that you picked up there, right? Where you were fishing. You want to leave it there. You don't want to bring it home and wash it on your driveway and it all flows down your driveway and into the storm drain and down that storm drain and into your local creek, right? Because that's exactly what's going to happen. So wash it as best you can when you're there. Clean it all up as much as you can before you come home. And then if you can, leave your boat in the sun, and that'll kill a lot of stuff, just the UV rays. But if you're going to go fishing the next day, maybe invest in a pressure washer, right? So you can get that last little bit of mud, because even mud and just little bits of root in that mud can transfer an invasive plant, right? It doesn't take much. A little clipping, you go through something with your trolling motor and you clip the little weeds, and then some of that gets picked up in your bilge and so on and so forth, and it gets onto the trailer. And so, there's so many ways of transmitting and carrying around invasive weeds, invasive viruses, and other types of life forms that can be carried around in our gear in very microscopic, kind of very small ways. So we need to start to take care of making sure we're cleaning up before we go to the next body of water, and doing it as much as possible before you leave. So look, we're all getting a little smarter about how not to avoid catching viruses, right? And we're not to go. So let's just apply that knowledge. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not there.
100%. And folks are going to find out this year, especially, it is the law. So if you are caught dragging stuff that came from the body of water that you're fishing and you happen to get pulled over, I don't know what the ticket is, but I do know you're going to get a stern talking to at the very least.
It's $500.
Yeah. So it's a good investment to make sure you take the time and clean off your trailer and your boat so that we're not doing more harm to our fishery as well as your pocketbook. Steve's asked, he heard that an armored catfish had been caught. And yes, the
Holy
answer
crap.
is
Holy
David's
crap.
secret was, Jeremy, you're right on. It was actually featured on Fishing Canada. Not 100% sure where David caught it, but Fishing Canada featured David and his armored catfish as it was a rare catch, but and extremely rare. But absolutely, these are starting to show up. And then, of course, the alligator gar that we're fearing, not to mention the Asian carp problems. We've talked about this at great length about our infrastructure and how it's getting older and a little bit more defunct each year. We're going to have to spend some money to update it, or all of these invasive species are going to become more of a reality than a mystery.
Oh yeah, and the other thing, now that we're talking about moving boats around, right, and trailers, the next step is that these boat launches just start disappearing on our favorite little lakes, right? So, this is something you want people who have invested on the land around those lakes where you're fishing, you want them to see that you're taking care to make sure, everything's done properly, and you're showing up with clean gear, and you're taking time to clean your equipment before you leave again. That's so important. Otherwise, people are going to start finding ways to disappear those boat launches.
100%. Last but not least, topic that I wanted to talk about that got shared to me by Jason, who unfortunately isn't with us. We want to wish him well. He's up at the Golden Horseshoe Outdoors Club putting on a tips and trick seminar. So we wish Jay well, and he'll be back next week. But he shared a link, and it's really cool. I think it's long overdue, but it's going to be some kind of symposium where they're going to reach out to the anglers, and they want your input when it comes to Lake of the Woods and the very endangered walleye population. But they want to get anglers' input. They want to get outfitters' input, guides, folks that fish perhaps maybe recreationally, perhaps commercially. But there's going to be basically a public forum that's going to allow you to weigh in any of your suggestions or some things that you might want to see done. Because, as I said, it might be a body of water that's in your own backyards, and it might be something that our M&R biologists haven't even thought of. But tell us, these are becoming the norm lately, it seems, Lawrence.
Yeah, well, we have a lot of consultations around conservation groups, water quality activist organizations, lobbying government to say, hey, look, there's blue-green algae. And we all hear about blue-green algae. It's happening in every lake across Canada. Well, not every lake, but it's happening in every province across Canada. We're starting to see blue-green algae. This is a scourge that property owners, really fear, because this kills their property value, their shoreline, their vacation, their home, their love, their pets can't go in the water because they're afraid their dogs and cats are going to die and so forth. So they're really, hyper vigilant around blue-green algae, and to get rid of blue-green algae, you get rid of nutrients. So there's been a huge push to get rid of nutrients at the south end of Lake of the Woods. So that's where Rainy River flows out of the United States and up into the Lake of the Woods. There's 14,000 islands where it comes in, and the average depth of that part of the lake is about 30 feet. Thousands and thousands. Like in the wintertime, they estimate about 4,000 people Americans ice fish on the American side there, right on the south end of Lake of the Woods every day. 4,000 people. So it's huge fishing pressure at that end. This is also, where the blue-green algae is a big issue in the summer, because the water warms up because it's shallower there and there's nutrients coming in. So the Americans have taken a big step to lower the nutrient loading through the Rainy River. This all flows north into Canada. Canada is expected to do the same thing. Environment and Climate Change Canada is getting on board with this. And we've been pushing back. We're saying, hey, look, the rest of Lake of the Woods, everything up in Canada and Ontario, that's all nutrient poor. Because it just becomes like a Canadian Shield Lake, very clear water. You can see down 30, 40, 50 feet because there's no nutrients in the water. There's also no food in the water, because no nutrients means no zooplankton, no phytoplankton, no food base there to feed the food source, the prey fish that the sport fish want to eat. And then you have other things like, the crawfish that have invaded into the Lake of the Woods as well and snipped off all the weed beds up in the north half of the Lake of the Woods. So that's not helping for the habitat reduction for muskie and walleye up there. You got a commercial, a very active indigenous commercial walleye fishery taking place as well. And we know the Ontario government, they can only intervene when there's a conservation issue. But there's no sitting down between these different stakeholders, the First Nations communities, the tourism organizations, and the recreational fishing groups, and the biologists and the managers to sort this out. I mean, so they're doing it. The government's talking to the First Nations fishers. Then they come. Now they're going to talk to the recreational anglers, and it's about time. It's about time we had a seat at a table, right? At a table. So sign up. I think there's one on March 8th. And there's going to be another one on March 22nd, and then there's going to be a third date coming out. And so we can share that information, Scotty, and I think it's on Facebook now. But you definitely want to sign up if you like Lake of the Woods. Lake of the Woods is the sixth great lake in Ontario. It's also, out of all the big lakes in Ontario, it's the one most at crisis right now in terms of the walleye population depletion. It's not it's not a write-off. It can be turned around, but it's going to need a strategy. And unfortunately, with COVID, this strategy is now 2 years behind, right? Because this was supposed to happen 2 years ago. Because of COVID, it didn't happen. Now it's happening. So, hey, get in there. I'm registered. I suggest you all register and make your voices heard. That it can't just be about blue-green algae. It's got to be about the fish too. You got to look at the whole picture here, folks, not just the cottagers.
100%, dude. Well, listen, as always, a wealth of information, and you have inspired all of us to get involved, to get in the know, and become active. At the end of the day, we have the ability to make change, and they're giving us the opportunity through these forums and symposiums to do exactly that. Lawrence, I can't thank you enough for all of the wealth of information that you bring to us, and you dumb it down for some of us so that we can understand it, but truly appreciate it, my friend.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thanks for listening, you guys. It means a lot to me knowing that you guys care, and gives me heart to know that, anglers care. The Bluefish News we put out every 2 weeks. We've got, I think, over 6,000 people who subscribe to that newsletter now across Canada, and really people who are local champions of their local resources, who care about this stuff and just want to know what's going on in the rest of Canada. So, if you want to keep on top of what's going on in the rest of Canada, you're feeling a little bit alone, you're feeling a little bit hopeless that there's not enough going on, check out that news. It's all about, the future of our fish and our fishing. Bluefish News on Bluefish Canada. Subscribe, or just go to the website there and you can find all the issues.
Fantastic. Lawrence, as always, take care, bud. We'll
you
see
too, buddy.
All Thanks, the best, man. My friend. Yeah. Thanks to all of the incredible guests that came on, the audience, your participation, and all your great comments, and for Shane Richard, who was looking for some how-tos on how to get those fish to commit. I know he's been very frustrated lately. It's been like that for most folks this year. It's been a tough bite. Anybody who's been fishing Simcoe, you know what I mean. But all around, it has not exactly been a great season of fishing. I know Ava had a giant whitefish on the weekend, so congratulations to her. That was featured today on CFN. And for all those who did manage to get a Monster Monday, congratulations to you. Fish of a lifetime, and we're so glad you shared it with us and allowed it to share it with our community. To Steve and Bill, who were putting up the links, and of course Walter, who does edits along with Steve. Just a great night, and I'm so in love with this community. You guys are absolutely awesome, and I will turn to Dave Mercer to take us away. Have yourselves a great week. All the best, and we will see you next week. Peace.
Well, as much as I hate to admit it, I guess we've run out of time. So I've enjoyed it, but I'm going to do something I haven't done since season 1. Turn out the lights, the party's over. They say that all good things must end.